Yeah, so this is another reservoir. This is a year old, and I just wanted to show what's happened to the capillary fabric in the wicking tube. On this one I actually used cotton t-shirts or just fabric, and you can see this was the actual contents of this wicking tube. The cardboard's completely gone, but it looks to me that that was actually a blend of polyester and cotton, so it's very, very thin. No, I think this might just be cotton because it's breaking up in my hands there. So you can see most of that material has just disappeared, and what is interesting is actually in here, this is the capillary tube, you've actually got worms still active right in the full depth of that irrigation. So because you've got the process of capillary action drawing up this moisture and temperature change fluctuation nighttime daytime, you get condensation, and this water sort of vaporizes, and then that will drain back down, so you can actually sustain worm activity even in that water. On this one I've actually got a layer of biochar which I was using as an active sort of filter. That was on the subfloor here, so as you irrigate from above, any excess nitrate that washes through into the container actually helps to activate the biochar. So the biochar is negatively charged, and the nitrates will actually latch onto that, so it stops them from being washed through and makes them available as nutrients for the plants to use. But just to show, there's a number of Dendrobina worms or red wigglers here, and they're all quite active in here, even though that's just in the reservoir itself. In this container here, what I've done when I've set this up as a new container, I've emptied that out into a wheelbarrow, and this is just some of the old worm casts and substrate. There'll be a few worms in there. It's very wet at the moment because that's been in the reservoir, and what I'm doing here is just making a layer on the bottom of the planter. So what I've done here, planter's sitting on the reservoir here. I've got a layer of cardboard to act as a sort of filter barrier to stop the substrate from washing through in the container. And while I was doing this, I was just tearing up some comfrey leaves as well, making a layer of leaves in the bottom of that container. And so the last thing I'm doing is just taking some sifted castings, which these have all gone through a 2mm sift. So this is really nice stuff in terms of improving sort of soil health and adding to the sort of soil life. There's lots of lots of enzymes in here, and it helps with sort of fungal activity, and it helps make the nutrients that are available in the compost available to the plants. So I just put a little layer of that in there. You don't need a huge amount. And now this is basically a container that's got sub-irrigation in there. It's got a little source of nitrate for the plants as well, and that's ready to plant up as you would in a normal just bed. What I've got here as well is just a little plant pot. This is the cut down PET bottle, and if you want to water the plant from below, if it's particularly hot, you want to minimise the evaporation through the soil, so you can water it down this tube. It won't overflow, well, it won't waterlog the soil because there are built-in overflows. So all you have to do is look down here, and you can see to the top of the white tube there. So once it's up to that level, that's fine, and that water will be available to water the plants, to irrigate plants through 2 or 3 days, depending on the temperature in the greenhouse. I like to put a plant pot on top. It stops any material dropping down there. Frogs, newts, amphibians as well. If they fall into there, you just want something, a barrier to stop them from climbing in. Well, that one's ready to go. What I'd suggest, this is an 8 by 6 foot greenhouse, so maybe these raised beds are roughly just under 4 foot long, and so there'll be one of these self-watering buckets in the centre, and then 2 in each of those raised beds. So it's ready to go, ready to plant. Excellent, thank you.